In June 2026, SpaceX completed the largest IPO in history, $85.7 billion raised, a valuation near $1.8 trillion. Days later, it borrowed another $25 billion in the bond market. That money was not for rockets. SpaceX said the proceeds would repay a bridge loan taken months earlier to retire debt tied to X and xAI, two companies now inside SpaceX. A rocket company went public, and within days was cleaning up obligations that began in a social media acquisition and an AI infrastructure build-out. How did all three end up under the same roof? The answer begins with one word: no. In 2018, OpenAI said no to Elon Musk, and the consequences of that word are still unfolding. OpenAI was founded in December 2015 as a nonprofit, with Musk as co-chair. By 2017, both sides agreed on one thing: the compute required to build frontier AI was growing far faster than donations could cover. Ilya Sutskever wrote in an email that they would need to exponentially increase their hardware spending every year. He estimated AGI could ultimately be built with less than $10 billion in hardware. $10 billion. For a nonprofit running on donations, the math was clear. Wherever the money came from, someone would end up holding enormous power over the research. The only question was, who? Both sides also agreed a for-profit structure was necessary. The money had to come from somewhere. The question was, who would sit at the top when it did? The disagreement was over who would control it. In August 2017, OpenAI's AI beat some of the world's best players at Dota one-on-one. That night, Musk emailed the team. "Time to make the next step for OpenAI," he wrote. This is the triggering event. Musk had co-founded OpenAI partly out of concern that Google's DeepMind would build AGI first, inside a company beholden to shareholders. The nonprofit was supposed to be the counterweight. But a counterweight needs money. And the negotiation that followed was not about research. It was about control. According to emails and documents released by OpenAI, Musk demanded majority equity, between 50 and 60%. He wanted to appoint the initial board. He wanted the CEO title. Sutskever and Brockman wrote directly to Musk. The current structure, they said, provides you with a path where you end up with unilateral absolute control over the AGI. The goal of OpenAI, they told him, was to avoid an AGI dictatorship. They wrote that they were concerned that, as the company made genuine progress toward AGI, Musk would choose to retain absolute control despite his current intent to the contrary. Musk's response ended with 3 words: discussions are over. He proposed merging OpenAI into Tesla instead. In internal discussions, Tesla was described as a potential cash cow for the AI research. Tesla had the revenue, the engineering workforce, and the GPU infrastructure already being built for self-driving. It could pay for the research, and Musk would control all of it. OpenAI's board saw the same structure they had just rejected, wearing different clothes. The OpenAI team did not want to work inside Tesla. In February 2018, Musk resigned as co-chair. He hosted a goodbye meeting with the staff, told them to find their own path to billions, and walked out. He would pursue advanced AI research at Tesla instead, the only vehicle he believed that could generate the capital this work required. By December, he sent one more message. Even raising several $100 million won't be enough. This needs billions per year immediately, or forget it. He compared OpenAI to Blue Origin. Hopelessly behind, he wrote, and getting worse. He said he really hoped he was wrong. He believed they would fail without him. He was wrong about that. In 2019, OpenAI created the structure Musk had argued for, a for-profit arm governed by the nonprofit, but without Musk's control. Microsoft invested $13 billion. Then, in November 2022, ChatGPT launched. Within 2 months, it had 100 million monthly users. Within a year, Altman was testifying before the United States Senate. OpenAI had found not only capital and compute, but something Musk had never discussed in his emails: a consumer product that made the whole world pay attention. By March 2026, OpenAI was valued at $852 billion. The company he said would fail was now worth more than most countries produce in a year. Musk had lost the argument. Worse, OpenAI had proved his central point without him. It found the capital engine he said it needed. He simply no longer controlled it. That was the second no. Not a rejection from a board this time. A rejection from reality itself. The company he left behind had not collapsed. It had found exactly the structure he proposed, raised exactly the capital he demanded, and built exactly the product the world wanted. Without him, by 2023, only one practical path remained: build a competitor. And not just any competitor, one built from companies he already controlled. Musk incorporated xAI in March 2023, weeks after ChatGPT crossed 100 million monthly users. The timing was not subtle. The company he said would fail had just produced the fastest-growing consumer product in history, and the man who said it needed billions was now going to spend billions of his own to prove it should have been done his way. Most founders start with nothing. Musk started with an ecosystem. He already had one of the richest real-time data streams on the internet. He already had a hardware company building its own chips. He already had a satellite network wrapping the planet. The only thing missing was the model itself. xAI had access to a platform already used by hundreds of millions of people. X supplied the data. Grok, xAI's language model, was embedded directly into it. By February 2025, the Memphis cluster had expanded to 200,000 H100 GPUs, with a roadmap to 1 million. He compresses timelines until they break, and then pushes through anyway. Colossus was not built on a typical timeline. The facility in Memphis went from empty land to the world's largest AI training cluster in months. The first system came online in 122 days, the kind of project that takes most companies years. Building the rival was possible. Paying for one was the harder problem. By the September 2025 quarter, xAI's net loss had widened to $1.46 billion. In January 2026, it raised $20 billion more. Most of it went to infrastructure, GPUs, power, cooling, land. The raw materials of AI were not lines of code, they were industrial assets. It was not enough. Each piece of the structure solved one problem. Each piece created a larger bill. The model was xAI. The data and distribution were X. The compute was Colossus. But X brought more than an audience. It brought roughly $12.5 billion in debt from the original Twitter acquisition. And xAI had taken on billions more. X solved the audience problem. It did not solve the capital problem. An AI company with its own social platform has training data, a product surface, and a distribution channel that most competitors have to rent or build from scratch. But the combined entity now carried a debt load that xAI's revenue could not service on its own. The data was inside. The bill was still growing. Even after raising over $20 billion in a single round, xAI needed more. The trajectory Musk had laid out required a financial anchor that a standalone AI company could not provide. That left one company large enough to carry the weight. SpaceX's own filing showed why it was the obvious anchor. In 2025, its connectivity business produced more than $4.4 billion in operating profit. Its AI business lost more than $6.3 billion. The most profitable business Musk controlled and the most expensive one were now moving under the same roof. Starlink alone had become one of the largest satellite businesses in history. SpaceX had credibility with lenders, credibility with governments, and a path to the largest IPO ever attempted. That was the point. xAI could not borrow at these rates. SpaceX could. On February 2, 2026, SpaceX acquired xAI. The combined valuation was $1.25 trillion. It was the largest corporate merger in history, and it moved quickly, because the person on both sides of the table was the same. No hostile takeover. No public bidding war. The same man controlled both sides of the table, and within weeks, the companies were one. 1 month later, SpaceX arranged a $20 billion bridge loan led by Goldman Sachs. The loan retired nearly $19 billion in debt tied to X and xAI. SpaceX paid over $1 billion in prepayment penalties just to close the old terms. The strongest company in Musk's portfolio was now carrying obligations created by the weakest. Tesla was not part of the merger. It invested roughly $2 billion and received less than 1% of SpaceX equity. Three companies controlled by one man, connected but legally separate. And then the last door closed. One road remained, the legal one. In May 2026, a federal jury ruled against Musk in his lawsuit against OpenAI. The verdict did not settle every argument about OpenAI's transformation. The jury concluded that Musk had simply waited too long to sue. The board had said no. His prediction had failed. The legal door was shut. Musk would not get OpenAI back. He no longer needed it. Not because OpenAI had become irrelevant. It had become the most valuable AI company in the world, but because Musk had assembled a parallel structure that no longer depended on anyone else's permission to exist. A model he controlled. Data he controlled. Compute he controlled. Distribution he controlled. And finally, a capital engine he controlled, with a public listing that let the rest of the world buy in. Above all of it was Musk himself. No board between him and the machine. No co-founders writing emails about dictatorships. No vote he could lose. OpenAI's answer had not changed. It no longer had to. The company was different. The structure was not. In both cases, the logic was the same. AI needs more capital than it can generate. Someone has to carry that cost. And Musk wanted that someone to be a company he controlled. The difference is that in 2018 he asked. In 2026, he did not have to. No board rejected him. No co-founders wrote emails about avoiding a dictatorship. The companies were his. The decision was his. SpaceX is public now. If your retirement account holds a total market fund, you may already own a piece of this bet. You did not choose X. You did not choose XAI. They arrived inside SpaceX. So decide. Did Elon Musk build the AI empire OpenAI refused to give him? Or did he place one of his strongest companies underneath the most expensive bet of his career? This channel keeps following the same questions. Who controls the future? Who pays for it? And whose money is already inside? 8 years ago, OpenAI told Musk no. This time, nobody had to give him permission. And nobody asked you either. Still echoing,